Hello engineers and welcome back to another sneak peek behind the scenes as Space Engineers 2. This time we're discussing planetary biomes with Jan Trausek, Space Engineers 2 art team lead.
I think the biggest difference that players will recognize is the definition of the height maps, because in Space Engineers 1 we only had two game height maps, like six times, because each side of the planet has its own height map. But this time in Space Engineers 2 we are actually using 8K height maps, so that's 4 times more. So players can actually see much more resolutions. The mountains, they will be much less blobby than in Space Engineers 1. And so I think that's one of the key features we have in SE2. And the other important thing is the generated caves and overhangs that we also didn't have in SE1. So now in SE2 we have these overhangs that actually help us to create some very nice terrain and silhouettes, especially of the mountains. And same goes for the caves. So again, it carves into the mountains or into the terrain, and again helps with the silhouette, helps to create some interesting areas that players can explore and use for building as well. So for the biomes, again, as comparison to SE1, in SE1 we had just a few of them. We had some basic biomes like grassy area, some like polar area, so some ice, and then there was some savanna and desert. So totally there were just few or 6 biomes in SE1. In SE2, I think we doubled it, maybe tripled it. So we have even biomes like, especially new will be the underwater biomes. So there will be a lot of underwater flora and things again to explore. And then surrounding biomes around the water. So we have some coastal areas, and again we will have some deserts. We will have temperate areas, and what else? Yeah, like there is in total there is double or triple the amount. What I really like about the planets is the vegetation now, because the vegetation in SE1 is quite old, and all of that was actually handcrafted. So every tree was modeled in modeling software, and it was taking quite some time. And in SE2 we actually collaborated with Speed3, so the creation of the flora was much quicker, so we could afford to actually have much more variety in the flora. So we have many more trees, many more types. We have bushes, we have also generated stones, even though that's not created in Speed3. We have a different type of grasses, and also a different grass systems, thanks to our great programming team, which made better wind animations. And that's another thing that we have on the trees as well. We have much more realistic wind animations, so it's not just the tree is breathing like in SE1, but we have branches swinging in the air and in the wind. So I think that's one of the biggest upgrades to SE1. It's hard to tell what would be the biggest achievement. I think we've worked on many areas, like many smaller chunks on the planet in general, and in total it combines into overly better looking planet. So it's not just what we did on the art side, but it's also what was done on the render side from our programmers, because the rendering on the planet with the new renderer, it helps so much with the look. We also now support many new shaders. We have subsurface scattering on the trees, so when you are looking at the trees and there is a sun coming through the leaves, you can actually see them being a little bit transparent. So all of these little bits and pieces, they help a lot in the realism. I think what might be actually very interesting to people is to know that there are actually some real-world locations that they can find on the planet. We really scanned or used scanned data from the Earth. So if you will walk on the planet, you may actually recognize some. Maybe I can give some spoilers, because there are, for example, the Table Mountain from South Africa. There is Madeira Island. There is Grand Canyon, and many more. And players can actually find these on the planets, and they are really one-to-one to what you can see on the Earth. Of course, we don't have such a resolution as real world. But to create these, actually, you scan the data and then you need to place it. So we were using like professional tools like Word Creator and Houdini to add these elements to the height map, and then we had to also create some textures so it looks similar. And there was actually a lot of back and forth going, a lot of checking, downloading a lot of references of these places and trying to match them with the real stuff. And also thinking about the performance, because we cannot afford to have so many materials as in the real world. So we really needed to limit the amount of materials that we can use. So we selected the most important materials like the gravel, like the cliffs, grass, some kind of rock elements, and all of that was combined, and we tried to match these real world locations. So it will be actually interesting how many players will be able to find this. So currently we are working on the Byblos planet, which it will be the water planet. So most of the surface will be actually covered by water, and we will have just a couple of islands, volcanoes, and interesting elements again. So we are mainly focused on the underwater here, and we are trying to make it interesting for the players. So when they will dive under the water, they will be able again to explore. So we are trying to create some interesting trenches, some canyons, underwater stuff. So again, it's at the beginning right now, but I think it will be also very interesting planet to explore. And what we are currently working on the existing planets, they are pretty much done. We are trying to just polish the last bits and pieces. So for example, we noticed that the Verdure planet, the main planet, it lacks a little bit of volcanoes. So that's something that we decided to add, and we actually again got some existing height maps, and we tried to scatter it around the planet, again applying the correct voxel materials with some lava, cold magma, and actually not lava, just cold magma and some like volcanic materials around it. So I think what will be interesting for the players is when they start, they will be actually starting very close to the Table Mountain that I mentioned previously. So they will be able to find it very quickly, in my opinion, recognize it, of course, if they know what they should look for. And what I like about Verdure is that it's quite diverse. So you need to fly around, try to find some materials when you need to get ores. It's not like in SC1 that all the ores are scattered uniformly all over the planet, but players will actually need to locate it. They will need to fly around the planet, discover new areas, discover new biomes. So I think that will be much more interesting compared to SC1. And on the other hand, Chemic, that one is something like a Mars-like planet, you would imagine. But so it's much more harsh. It doesn't have so many biomes. So overall, it looks quite similar, even though there are some biomes that players can find, like also some volcanic places. But you can imagine it as some really harsh environment, which is difficult to survive in. It will be also more difficult to navigate in because it's full of mountains. So getting from place A to place B will be much more difficult than on Verdure. So I think that will be also interesting for players.